9:04. All right, so Jeff. Good morning, guys. Jeff. All right, we're going to call to order the meeting of the Tourist Development Council for Thursday, November 12th, 2020. I got 9:04 on the clock this morning. Let's begin this morning with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Go ahead and call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brian Hammond.
Here.
John McLean.
Here.
Fran Myers is excused. Rexanne Hossafrost.
Present.
Pamela Cronin.
I'm here.
Tony Laffey.
Here.
Colleen DePasquale. Here. Robert Wells.
Here.
Bill Wachulis.
Here.
Brian Kramer. We do have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much. I assume everybody's had a chance to review the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for the previous meeting?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, the motion is from Councilwoman Hossafrost, and the second was from Ms. Cronin. Do we have any discussion on that? Do we have any objection? No objection, that motion carries unanimously. At this time, I'd like to call for the public to be heard. Has anyone come this morning to speak in public comment? Great, please head to the podium. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Sputoni, and I am the President and CEO of the Downtown River District Alliance. And I'm here to thank the TDC Council and the committee for their generosity for our upcoming year. We were granted the 2 grants, an attractions grant and an events grant, and I'm happy to say that our new website will probably be ready to be unveiled at the end of this year, and it's just phenomenal, and I'm very excited about it. It definitely will focus on all the events that are going on downtown and why you should eat, shop, play, and stay downtown. So I can't wait to unveil that with you all, and I also wanted to thank you for the events marketing grant, which has been a little challenging since events have been are interesting. We did our first art walk last weekend, and the grant was for the holidays. So I am going to focus on why Fort Myers is such a charming, great place to stay during the holidays, and focus on a lot of the attractions that we'll be doing, Edison Ford holiday nights, whether the Burroughs Home is doing their Christmas, but whatever's going on downtown, we will certainly focus on it. So I thank you. We could have not done anything that we're getting ready to do without your help and support.
Well, thank you for your thank you. We appreciate that. Thanks for coming. Anybody else here to speak in public comment this morning? Okay, seeing none, I'll close public comment, and let's go to municipalities to be heard. Is anybody here from any of the municipalities that would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, we'll move forward. I would like to take the agenda a little out of order today, if that's okay. I want to start with new business, and then we'll go back to the typical reports, because I know there's a discussion item that I think a lot of us want to talk about. And Tim, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with the new business then and start that discussion?
Sure. So, good morning, Council. Happy November. Let's begin with the sales and marketing plan. We presented this at our annual, Tourism Outlook Summit that we held virtually a little over a week ago, and hope that you were able to join in on this. We've also provided a copy to you in your packet. And as a formality, we would like for you to accept the 21 sales and marketing plan.
Okay, so has everyone had a chance to review it, and does anyone have any questions for Tam and her staff? Okay, seeing no questions, then does anyone wish to make a motion to endorse the sales and marketing plan for the upcoming year?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, the motion for approval is from Mr. Wachulis. Seconds from Ms. Cronin. Do we have any further discussion on the item?
The only thing I'd like to say is they're always wonderful, and this has been a particularly challenging year, and congratulations for working so hard on it and coming up with some really great ideas.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pam.
Very good, very good. All right, well, seeing no further discussion, then I'll call the question. Are there any objections? Okay, no objections. That motion carries unanimously. Great job.
Thank you. Second item we have for you are the quarterly budget reports for the VCB's operating budget, the beach and shoreline operating budget, and the sports development budget. As you will see, budget items, we purposefully held back our spending given that revenue was off for the fiscal year. So you will see both the VCB operating budget and the sports budget. We spent 76% of our budget, allowing us to save about $5.7 million that obviously helped make up for the deficit in revenue, but also will send a little funds to reserves that will help us, no doubt, this year. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Jeff also is available relative to the sports, but it's pretty clean cut what we did.
So what budget-related questions do we have? Anybody? No?
It's Renee.
You know, it's interesting. I talked with Tam earlier this week about it. It looked like we had maybe a 30% swing throughout the year. We were up 20% in the beginning of the year, and then we ended the year about down 10%. Is that what we thought?
10.4, I think, is the final number on revenue. Better than we actually anticipated. I think all of us thought it would be a little bit higher than that, but you know, it was a better summer than expected, and you'll hear when we share with you the numbers for September. You know, the revenue was actually up a couple of months in the summer, so that's good news for sure.
Good deal. All right, very good. All right, well, does anybody, do we need a motion to accept the fourth quarter budget report?
We do, sir.
Okay, does anybody wish to make a motion to accept the fourth quarter budget report?
I'll make the motion.
Motion's from Mr. Lappy. The second is from Councilman McLean. Do we have any further discussion on that item?
Does this include the sports as well?
Yes.
Everything's all in?
All three of them, yes, sir.
It does. Okay, very good. All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, are there any objections to the motion? All right, hearing no objections, that motion carries unanimously. All right, and item C.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. We'd like to talk to you about the Sanibel Causeway Islands project. Come on up, Jesse. This project has been conceptually, what am I trying to say? Conceptually, it's been on the drawing board for a while. We've expanded the scope somewhat dramatically since it was first conceived, and so we decided to go to the state for some assistance. Happy to report that with the help of Senator Benaquisto and Representative Dane Eagle and really the entire delegation, we got a lot of assistance. And with some great lobbying by the Board of County Commissioners to get it through the pandemic budget veto process, somehow we've come away with a $4.25 million appropriation from the state. So Jesse will walk you through the project scope as we see it now. And what we would like to do is get a local match to those state funds so that we can actually make this project happen now. Some monies have already been appropriated, and we'll cover that as well, but there is a balance that we would need to take from reserves. So we'll go through that conversation after you see the project scope. Go ahead, Jesse.
Good morning, Commissioner, and council members. As most of you have been around the table, we've been looking at doing something on the Causeway for many, many years. We'd like to bring that to fruition in the very near future. If you'll see, we're proposing to add upland amenities and put in place some erosion control structures on both islands, not just the second island, and that was the initial request about 4 years ago. The upland amenities we're talking about constructing would be structured parking, adding some more drainage, pavilions. The first island, when you come from the mainland, has no restroom facilities other than porta potties. We're talking about adding some restroom trailers similar to what is at Crescent Beach Park on Fort Myers Beach, pathways, both to the fishing areas and for the pavilions and restrooms, increasing the landscaping, which will change some of the on and off points to access either side of each island, and adding some signage. As far as the erosion control structures, I leave that to the engineers, but we do have plans in place right now that are approved by both the Army Corps and Water Management District for Island B, which include T-groins, which are those concrete little seawalls going out with a little seawall at the end, so it looks like a T. We would renourish on top of that, and there are other structures that may be necessary through the design process. This is kind of a conceptual, just to get a kind of a picture of what we're proposing on doing. This is Island A, the first island you come to from the mainland. As you will see, this green area would be the landscaping to kind of limit the amount of places you can come on and off of either side. We've got structured parking. Some of this is just conceptual, so there's, equipment storage area. Obviously, we still, even after this project, we'll have to grade out surfaces and things like that. But we're keeping the event space, which is the easternmost portion of this island. There's a couple historical events that take place there, and there's opportunities in the future to do more if we want to. I don't have every area on here that needs erosion control. This island has not undergone the studies necessary to determine where those structures would need to be placed. But a part of this project would be getting into design and getting those erosion control structures designed and permitted. And then you'll see Island B. This is just the upland amenities. The T-groins that I mentioned before are mainly located on that far side and some on this side. There is some hardening of the shoreline with boulders and things like that. But as you'll see, we're limiting the amount of on and off access points so that you can't just slam on the accelerator and go right on the road, which has been a problem over the years. And it's really going to become a really nice, unique feature and something that, at least from my perspective, should have been done many, many years ago, and this is going to set us, pave the way for us in the future.
Jesse, if it's okay, before you move on, I was just looking at the design. So does it look like, obviously one of the things that people enjoy doing right now on the Causeway Islands is pulling up, throwing the tailgate open, and sitting on the tailgate and looking at the sunset. Do we lose that with this design?
You do not. As you'll see, these parking areas up here on the north, actually, whatever side that is, but this is the mainland down here. You'll still be able to do that, Commissioner. However, we have had issues with people driving into the water and things like that. So there'll be a parking bumper there. So hopefully they don't continue on into the water. But we still want to keep that feeling of exactly what you said, opening the tailgate, having a picnic, enjoying the water. We still want to have that feeling. We don't want to completely concrete jungle these islands with seawalls and things like that. We still want people to go wade fishing and, enjoy their day.
Is it going to be asphalt parking, or is it going to be?
It would be pit shell parking. We would, we'd have to grade it out continually, but it would have parking bumpers, very similar to some of our other beach parks. Bowditch Point has that pit shell parking, but the pathway itself could be asphalt. I don't know yet because it hasn't been designed, and when we get there, I can give you a briefing on exactly what we plan on doing, as well as the rest of the council.
Sure, good deal. Mr. Lappy and then Mr. Wachulis.
I've seen the islands, during holiday weekends. I'm sure you have too.
Yes.
Memorial Day or 4th of July, and it gets jam-packed. Do you foresee, and also there's RV parking, bigger vehicles. Have you obviously made provisions for that? And is there going to be any kind of control when the parking is full?
So obviously, the control when the parking is full is, the parking is full. You
Yeah.
know, my staff can put signs out and things like that, but that's about all. And yes, to your point about RVs and things like that, we have taken that into consideration. It is a part of the scope, the more detailed scope that will go to the design firm to incorporate that into the design of both islands.
If you had to put a percentage of, like, the crazy weekend, Memorial Day or 4th of July or something, and the amount of vehicles that were there then, how much reduction would you guess would be? Like, would it be a 20% reduction or something along those lines?
We are really trying to keep it as is, but, you know, it's tough to say without the full design. But, you know, we're trying to keep it as close as possible to what it is now. However, there is an exorbitant amount of people going on those holiday weekends, as with the rest of the parks. But in order to protect these islands, you know, some of the drawback is we have to limit the amount of people on them.
No, I agree with that. And one last comment. You said something about historical events when you were talking about the Island A. You said there's something about historical events. I wasn't sure.
So the Sanibel Sea School has
That's okay.
up here.
I'm colorblind. I couldn't see it anyway.
Sanibel Sea School has an event there. There is a sunrise service on the Causeway.
On Easter.
And
Okay.
we really try and limit the amount of events because it's so heavily used.
Gotcha. That's all for me.
Mr. Wachulis, real quick?
Whenever I go over to Sanibel, I notice that there's a lot of wave runners at the trailers. I mean, what's the plan for those? That's a big part of, I think, people going to that area.
We would be looking to either designate or eliminate the trailer parking spots on the Causeway. So, but, you know, we got to get into design and see what we can do. Historically, people have gone out here, they put their jet skis in either right off the beach, or they've gone over to the Sanibel boat ramp, or they put it in a Punta prior to coming over through the tollway to get onto the islands. And we're really, that's become an issue, and we are looking in the design to help alleviate that in the future.
Is the parking going to be paid or?
It would be pit shell.
No, paid.
Paid parking. That's something we're looking into, and you know, in the future, there could be potential for paid parking on the Causeway Islands.
Ms. DePasquale and then Mr. McLean.
My question was paid parking.
Okay. So that'll be something that'll be fleshed out as we get closer then. Councilman McLean?
You've got structured parking there. What prevents people from just going off the road that's there into, like they do now, basically?
Correct. Yeah. So we've looked at, and if you're familiar with Island A, from about these trees up here, straight above me, over, we have posted ropes with little access points to get onto the beach. We'd be looking at that. We'd be looking at every opportunity to help keep people from going straight into the water with a vehicle or launching some sort of motorcraft.
Okay. Well, thanks for the explanation on that, Mr. Lavender, too. I know this is just concept, so things can change from what we're seeing here to the final design then. And I assume the plan would be, you know, the design's going to take a while. The plan would be to bring that final design back through here and then through the whole process again. Is that correct?
Yeah, we would absolutely come back and show you what is being contemplated by and actually, I think we'll talk a little bit about the design on future slides, so,
Yes.
Yeah, go
Very
ahead.
good. All right, go ahead and continue. Thanks again.
Okay, this is our, let me just preface this. This is a very strict timeline for us. The agreement with the state to accept the $4.25 million from state appropriations will be going to the board, our Board of County Commissioners, probably next month. But we do need to get this process moving. As many of you know, The state appropriated more money than they have, and I would hate for them to take any of that money away from this project. Because we have fully designed and permitted plans for the erosion control structures, we do plan on starting and hopefully completing the construction of those erosion control structures on Island B this coming summer. And then in the meantime, and right as soon as after December, we would be looking at going out and soliciting a design or a construction engineering firm and a construction firm for designing or for overseeing construction of Island A and B upland amenities and erosion controls construction. The design of the upland amenities and the design of the erosion control structures would be also going before the Board of County Commissioners in December in the form of a change order to the existing contract that we have with the firm that designed the erosion control structures for Island B. As I said, I don't think that we're going to have any issues with meeting this time frame, but should we not complete everything by the summer, by June 30th of 2024, we would have to reach out to the state and amend our agreement with them, which is why you see this timeline in front of you. Any questions? All right, budget. We anticipate this costing $8.5 million total. As I said, the state appropriated $4.25 million through the last legislative session. We are looking at a local match of 4.25. Now that doesn't mean 4.25 from reserves. We've already allocated 1.8 million back in between the years of fiscal year 16 and 17. What we are, and why I'm here before you today, we are looking at a request of 2.4717703 from the TDT Common Reserve Funds to complete that 4.25 local match. And to give you a glimpse of the common reserves, the fiscal year 2021 common reserves on the top shows what it would be without the Causeway project, and below that is with this allocation of the 2.417703 taken out.
Yes, Mr. Wells.
A quick question on the restroom facility. Using like a trailer or something that's not permanent like you have at the other island, is that due to the elevation of that particular island, or is that a cost savings initiative?
It's actually both, Rob. You would, in order to be permitted for a restroom facility, it would have to be probably 12 feet in the air. I don't know what the building codes are now, but it would at least have to be 12 feet in the air. The cost savings of that is tremendous. And the other factor that we weigh into this is the ability for us to hook it up and remove it when we have events like yesterday. So,
thanks.
One other.
So two quick questions. One, what happens, and could it happen that the state doesn't give us the 4 million because we don't have it?
No, the governor's actually already signed off on the 4.25.
Okay, so it can't
Made
be
it
like,
past
oh,
the
we
veto
don't.
pin and everything. We were worried about
Okay.
it potentially getting vetoed with everything that went on this year. But
And then the second question would be, but the additional funds, what, 2 point something that you need out of reserves, that would be over the next 4 years,
correct.
right? Like that would be broken up as you need it over the next 4 years. Okay.
That's correct. But we would allocate it now.
Sure.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Lackey, yeah.
So the reserves that were there from 16 and 17, we've been holding that money correctly for now?
That's correct.
In the bank, and we're going to pull that out and use that forward. And is this coming out of Beach and Shore? Or is this coming out of, I just want to know where, it's coming out of the beach and shore?
No, sir. This would actually just come out of the, can you go back to the common reserve slide, Jesse? So you've got a number of reserve accounts.
Okay,
They actually total about 26 million. Well, if you include debt reserves, it's more like 33 million. But your common reserve is your general operating reserve. And we're looking at about 16.7 million projected fund balance this fiscal year. And so it would come right from that common reserve. And then it would reduce your balance to 14.3 million, meaning you still have an excess of over 7 million in your general operating reserve.
okay, so it has nothing to do with beach and shore?
No, sir. It'd be separate and apart from that.
I want to make sure I understand.
Yes.
Very good, thank you.
Ms. DePasquale?
It's a quick question coming from behind me. So tell me why we're choosing the order of the islands in regards to the erosion control.
That is large in part to the fact that we already have designed and permitted plans.
Okay.
You know, the Army Corps permitting process can take up to 24 months, so
Okay.
we already have that in place. Let's get it done.
And it's also a function of, like I said, this project's been on the drawing board a long time. It started out with stabilization, Island B, that was it. Now it's stabilization of Island A, upland amenities for both, so it's just this continually growing scope. Yeah.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Oh, and I should note that we're going to mandate that the construction firm only works on one island at a time so that we can still have recreation on one of the islands uninhibited.
Mr. Sager, would you outline the motion you're looking for today?
Yes, sir. We're just looking for the TDC to recommend this additional allocation of common reserve funds to the Board of County Commissioners so that we can come to the board for final approval.
Very good. Does anyone wish to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, the motion's from Mr. Lackey. Do we have a second? Seconds from Ms. Cronin? Very good. Do we have any discussion on the motion before we take a vote? All right, seeing no discussion, I'll call the question. Any objections? No objections, then? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Colleen, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Very good. Thanks, Glenn. And we'll, at the Board of County Commissioner level too, and it's an exciting project.
Yes, sir. I think we'll have it in front of you probably December 1st.
December 1st, okay.
15th at the very latest.
Very good, very good. All right. All right, let's go ahead and go back to the agenda then as it was written, to the report of the Executive Director. Ms. Pygott, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, sir. As I mentioned earlier, September bed tax collection actually represents an increase over September of 2019 of 19%, coming in at 1.8 million. And I know that's a little bit surprising, and I think I was even a little bit surprised, but I think those of you with the boots on the ground know that Labor Day was a very good weekend for our area, much bigger weekend than the previous year. And also, I think Jeff will be sharing with you some sports numbers that affected that as well. For the fiscal year to date, and this is the last month of the fiscal year, September, we came in at 38,226,735, a decrease over the previous fiscal year of 10%. And, you know, when I look at some of my colleagues around the state, I think our number is much better than what you see in many communities. But I think that has, you know, is in large part because of where we were in February. So just a friendly reminder, when we shared the February bed tax with you, we were more than 20% up. So that absorbed some of the declines we've seen since that time frame.
What was our expectation, you know, like March and April? Weren't we projecting?
25%. 25. That was our 25 to 30, actually. You know, again, you know, knowing that we've never done this before, what kind of estimate do you put together for that? But we thought potentially 25 to 30%.
And the uptick that we saw, is that attributable to other places maybe being closed down and we were available?
I think to some degree, you know, Bill, you had, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm guessing.
You know, majority of our business that we saw since we reopened is it's Miami and Fort Lauderdale, and you know, majority of their area has been closed, and that's been the saving grace for us getting through this year. I mean, if that didn't happen, it'd have been tough.
And the Keys as well, there were certainly some areas that Floridians go that were not available to them, and we did benefit from that, for sure.
Well, the big concern that I've got is the first quarter of next year. Because right now, and I'm sure the other gentlemen that are in hotels are seeing the paces like horrible. So it's either people are waiting for the election to get finished, or they're waiting for a big snowstorm to happen. One of those is the factor, or are they just not going to come down? And my big fear is the people that are in Miami and Fort Lauderdale, I don't see them paying the rates that we typically charge in February, March, and April. So if they don't come down, the first quarter is going to be horrible. And literally, if you're in the hotel business, 70% of our money is made in those first 4 months of the year. So it'll make it a very bad year if we don't start off well.
And I would say bed tax collection, it's about 45%. So, reflecting the same situation you're talking
Depends what the airlines do too, and the vaccine possibly coming through. There's a lot to be, who knows, it's an unknown is what we're facing, like Bill said, and, will the Northerners fly down, we'll see.
I think and we talked about this a little bit during the tourism outlook, there are some positives there, though. All those direct flights that have been announced recently, as we survey consumers, one of the things they're saying, the ones who are willing to travel, they're much more interested in a direct flight. And I think, Florida will benefit, not just our destination, but other destinations in Florida getting direct service from many cities. And, fingers crossed, it's a cold, wet winter, not too snowy, so the airports close and, they come our way. But Bill, your anxiety over the first quarter, I think, is warranted and one, we absolutely understand as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of positives. I mean, the cruise lines are, not going to be going as fast. You've got nobody's going to go international, so are they going to come down? I mean, we're in a good position. It just keeps me up at night because it's all last minute. I mean, even what we saw in July, August, September, it all happens in 7-day period when you had a booking pace of 45 days. Now it's 7. So, you have no idea where you're going to be for the month until you get into the month. So.
Well, and that's true, but I think also too what will help is that there's been, the demand is pent up, and a lot of people who would have normally gone on other vacations, there's a lot of sitting money, so to speak,
Yep.
that they have in their coffers that if there's an opportunity for them to jump and go somewhere, I think they'll do it.
Yep.
So that's a positive outlook too.
But yeah, Florida's in a great position, and we are. So
The beaches spread people out, and they do look forward to that, I think, getting outside.
With that said, you see the STAR report for September, occupancy down 10%. ADR actually up 10.6%, so in essence, almost a flat RevPAR for the month. Traffic at the airport, this is an improved number over the previous month. I think last month it was about 56% down, so 44% down. Seeing some of those numbers come back as well.
going back, I know you've answered this question for me before, but, we were up, what was if you can go back a couple slides. One more. One more. Yeah. So we're up 19, but then you go to the STAR report. I know it's the vacation rental, but is there any way to break that out to see?
It's a good conversation, and one that actually had a call yesterday, talking to Key Data to start gathering their occupancy data on vacation rentals, because I do think a large portion of that. But I will also remind you that our STAR data is heavily weighted to the inland hotels, which have a lower rate. So even though, it ends up showing a little bit differently, I think the STAR data directionally usually is the same. In this case, it's not exactly. But I do think, vacation rentals are playing a very, very big role.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like that number, if you could know what
portion
rental and what's hotel,
Yes.
and then, you could look at what your increase year over year is based on each one.
And similarly, when we get to the key indicators, I'm going to show you that real estate line, and you know, you'll see it's a significant portion of bed tax collection. So, and vacation rentals, you know, Bill, you were talking about the short booking window. In this call, you know, normally vacation rentals have a pretty long booking window, and I think you know that from your units. I'm sure Tony sees it as well, but you know, even for the winter, they're seeing really short book. I mean, most of the bookings happening right now are for this month or the very beginning of the next month. The window is just unbelievably short. I think that's, you know, people are just, you know, real hesitant on what they're going to do until the last minute. Rob?
It's dramatically shorter than it was, but it also has been coming down for years, correct?
Correct.
And we're attributing most of that to people being able to go online and book all kinds of things, just more availability.
And I think it's just the nature of our life, right? I think our life is a little bit different now. You know, we kind of wait to the last minute to make a lot of decisions. See it in many other things as well. All right, so let's keep going past these. For the year, traffic at the airport down 42% at 4.4 billion. And then, you know, just for context, we like to do this every year once we have the full fiscal year of details. You see the bed tax over the last 5 years with that 10.4% decrease in 20. And then breakout by area, and, you know, I've told you this many times, and, you know, the clerk of courts provides this data to us. A couple of reminders, Bonita Springs and Cape Coral are not broken out because the way the statute is written. If one collector in any designated area collects more than 1/3 of the tax, that area cannot be reported. So Bonita and Cape Coral are in with the unincorporated areas of the county. But you see the breakout by area for 2020. And Bill, just to your point, you see that real estate line is, you know, a very significant portion of the bed tax, almost 22%.
The majority of that real estate is mainly probably the beaches where most of the vacation rentals are registered.
To some degree, yes, but, you know, don't forget Cape Coral with all the, you know, all the house rentals to, you know, there's a lot of areas that have vacation rentals, so it really is pretty county-wide, but that we do have that line broken out.
When you do Sanibel, you're including Captiva or not?
No.
Because that's part of Lee County.
Correct.
Make sure, okay.
Those are municipal boundaries.
Gotcha. Okay.
So Fort Myers is literally just the municipal boundary of Fort Myers, just to be clear. All right?
Oh, yeah, Mr. Wells, go ahead.
Just as an aside, I was talking to a Cape resident who's pretty tuned into the housing rental market over there, and I mean, I probably should have known this, but they've had some issues in the fall. So this number is a pretty strong number, is actually maybe weak around the Cape based on the lack of international, mainly German tourism that would fill those VRBOs.
Absolutely. The German market, you know, in Cape Coral is, you know, really strong, as you know. I mean, throughout the community it's strong, but particularly they do have, you know, a very strong connection to Cape Coral vacation rental housing, and, you know, we are certainly suffering the loss of our international visitors.
Just jumping back to the airport a little bit, is there any word from them on international, like coming out of Ireland or England, or is it just still shut down, so to speak?
You know, with the travel restrictions, there's not a lot of talk around that. The Canadian flights are resuming slowly but surely. You know, I'm sure you saw the recent article in the paper about, you know, Canadian snowbirds coming down. People who like to drive are being challenged by that. Now they can, I will add, they can car carrier and fly down, but that's an added expense. And some people, you know, part of that fun of the trip is that drive down. You know, they enjoy making that trek down every year. So, you know, with the border closed, we're going to continue to suffer. You know, Tony, we did talk a little bit in the Tourism Outlook event. We had a speaker from a company called Intervistas, Dave Daig, and he talked a little bit about international, but honestly, until those restrictions are lifted and with the numbers spiking in Europe, I just,
Like months and months.
I think we're,
First quarter maybe or something. It's going to be a while.
it's going to be a while. I mean, and no crystal ball here, but, you know, it's going to take some time for that market to come back for us. And, you know, we're just going to have to, we're going to have to continue to build on our domestic market in the interim, which is what we're doing. Sure. Okay, next slide. Just for the fun of this. Oh, that's right. I said don't put the next slide, didn't I? We put it graphically. It's in your packet. I said I was trying to keep the meeting moving quickly. I have one other thing I'd like to share with you before I bring up Philip. The VCB has a new fiscal manager, so I'm going to introduce to you April Bonnets, who's here in the audience. April, you want to just wave so they can see you? April comes to us with a lot of government accounting experience, and we're really thrilled to have her. She spent some time with the Clerk of Courts a while back, and also has been with Lee County once before in her career, but most recently comes to us from the private sector, and we're really thrilled to have her on our team. CPA with an accounting degree from the University of South Florida, and please, when you have a moment, welcome her to our team. We're thrilled to have her. With that, I'm going to ask Philip Downs to give us the third quarter report on visitor tracking and economic impact.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
We're going to be presenting the results of the third quarter economic impact and visitor tracking study. This study is based on nearly 1,000 interviews with your visitors. We present this information through the process visitors go through, from pre-visit to their experience here, through their evaluation, the economic impact. And let's face it, the economic impact is what it's all about, and so we'll start there. Here are some key metrics for the third quarter. The left column is 2019, the middle column 2020, and the right column change. Now, we often get, perhaps, too caught up in the visitation number. It's down nearly 32%. That's only one indicator. The good news is that people stayed longer this year than last year, and so that helped moderate some of the influences on room nights and direct expenditures, which were down considerably less. As we look at calendar year to date, we're 3 quarters in. We know that April through June was very challenging, and then this last quarter also was challenging, and so visitation is down 38%, but because of the increased stays, especially among people staying in second homes, staying with friends and relatives, and staying in vacation rentals. Those people were staying longer, and that moderated the impact on room nights and direct expenditures. The ADR information for the quarter, the property managers and owners did a great job on rate. It's actually up 3.8%. Unfortunately, occupancy is down, resulting in RevPAR down about 10%. So let's look at what people do before they come down to see us. We were talking about the vacation planning window, and I'll flip this first bullet point on its head. 60% have less than a 2-month planning window this year compared to 40% last year. So we have significantly shorter planning window this year than last. Over half the people this year requested information prior to the visit. That compares to only 18% last year. So people are not only waiting to the last minute, They're somewhat nervous. They want to know what's going on, what's happening on the ground where I'm thinking about going, and they're requesting information. Now, only 1 out of 8 visitors considered going somewhere else. 90% of them used online sources to get information about their upcoming trip. That's up from last year. It was 80% last year. And we're seeing this in other destinations that we do this work. People are hungry for information. They're seeking out information. They're waiting till the last minute to make decisions. The online sources that they use this year are basically the same as last year, with one exception. We mentioned airline websites here at 22%. That was 34% last year, and understandably, fewer people are flying. We ask people what influences their decision to go to a particular destination, and they're looking for peace and relaxation. They want safety, and they want an unspoiled, clean environment. And we're going to show you ratings of Lee County on those attributes on a later slide. They come here to vacation and go to our beaches and to relax, unwind, visit friends and relatives, and these are the same exact reasons why they came here last year. 36% recalled promotions. Now that's up 5 percentage points from last year. And the top sources that they recall, social media and the internet. Almost 4 out of 10 booked directly with hotels. 1 out of 5 booked with OTAs. And then if you look in the bottom right, Airbnb and Vrbo, 24% combined, 1 out of 4 visitors. That 24% is up from 19% last year. 55% flew in. That's lower than last year. And interestingly, and is Carol still here? There you go. 66% flew in last year to RSW, 86% this year. So you're getting a bigger percentage of the pie. Let's take a look at the profile of the people who came. If we put 20% here in the Southeast, 18% in Florida, add those together, we get 38%. That's an increase from 30% last year. So people are driving in, they want a vacation nearby. That's the overall consumer sentiment this year. The big story in this graph is last year we had 16% international visitors, this year 1. The origin markets remain basically the same. New York is still strong, Miami, Fort Lauderdale strong. 3 key Midwest markets here, Chicago, Cincinnati, and Detroit. The average travel party was 3.8 people. That's up from last year, 3.5. 4 out of 10 of our visitors travel with their children. Half and 30% travel as families and couples, respectively. The demographic profile, our visitor this year was a little younger and a little richer than last year. Last year was 50 years and around 100,000 household income. And most of our visitors are married, college-educated, white, and a little bit skewed towards females. So let's look at their trip experience here. They stay at our hotels, our condos, vacation rentals, and about 1 in 4 stay in non-paid accommodations, second homes, and with friends and relatives. The length of stay this year I mentioned was longer, 8.7 nights. 1 out of 4 were first-time visitors, and that's critical that we continue to attract new people to the destination. On the other hand, we have a very loyal following. 1 out of 4 of our visitors has been here at least 10 times. When they come, they love to go to the beach, relax and unwind, and dine. And these are the same 3 things that they did last year. Now, this graph's a little busier. It juxtaposes reasons for visiting with what they actually did when they came. So looking at the top on the left, 44% came here to go to the beach, and then on the right side, 69% actually did go to the beach. 30% came to relax and unwind, 55% did so. So dropping down about 4 or 5 spots to nature and shopping. Only 8% came for those 2 activities, but you can see 29 and 32% actually went and enjoyed our wonderful nature and went shopping here. Same way with water sports, only 7% came here with that in mind, and 23% enjoyed our water sports. They visit our beaches, that's why they come, and that's what they do. They go to the Fort Myers Beach Pier, to the Sanibel Lighthouse. These are key attractions visited. They stay in Sanibel Island, Fort Myers Beach, Fort Myers, Cape Coral. These are the same 4 communities they stayed in last year. So how did they evaluate their time with us? The evaluations were terrific. 94% likely to recommend the area, 94% likely to return. These percentages were 91% last year, so they're up. 2 out of 3 likely to return next year. That's up from 60% last year. And 43% said that their expectations were exceeded in their paid accommodations. Only 2% said that their expectations were not met. That's incredibly low. 96% satisfied with their time here. That's up 1 percentage point from last year. 93% satisfied with customer service. Now, I mentioned the influences that drive people to their destinations. Well, here are those again in terms of how visitors rate Lee County, and you can see the ratings are fantastic. We ask people, we actually give people a chance to vent a little bit, and they vented about insects and somewhat about the water quality. We also give people a chance, in their own words, to talk about their vacation here, and then we group those comments into buckets. And the 3 big buckets were beautiful beaches, wonderful place to visit, and relaxing and peaceful. For example, beautiful Gulf Beach with warm, clear water, a more upscale area of Florida that was quiet and relaxing, lots of natural, unspoiled areas to enjoy. Or Fort Myers is a great place to relax and unwind. It is not overly crowded and has a lot of great hidden gem restaurants. So we have tons of those verbatims. If your Friday night's looking a little boring, we'll send those along so you can read them all. Looking at the occupancy barometer going forward, it does not look good. 79% of the owners and managers say that the reservations are down, and as we look forward into January and March, the same story. And we hope the saving grace is this shortened planning window, and we're wishing you good luck on seeing those numbers go up. Any questions?
What questions do we have? Any? Yes, Mr. Wells.
You had a slide, it was about halfway through, but it was why they were here and to vacation. I think it was to vacation, and it was around 50%. What am I missing there? I mean, I thought pretty much that would be 90%. What are they doing if they're not vacationing?
You know, I think people parse that question. Many of them say they're here for vacation. Many others say they're here to relax and unwind. It's basically the same bag.
Gotcha. So you'd have to put a number of them together to get that.
Go ahead, Mr. Lappy.
Unlike the collection of tax, when you do the survey of Sanibel, are you including Captiva?
Yes.
I was really pleased to see that 96% of the people who evaluated their trip felt safe here. When you're talking about safety this year, did that mean virus as well as crime, or break out the safety for me?
Well, it's not broken out, but I'm sure from a consumer's perspective, that's what she's talking about. We've done consumer sentiment surveys, and safety is a big issue right now, more so than normal. And that includes crime and COVID.
Right.
More so COVID right now than crime.
I mean, we were really blessed to be one of the larger metro areas in the state of Florida that didn't see any really unrest or anything like that. I mean, we had peaceful demonstrations here, but no real unrest. And then on top of that, we had a bad July. There's no two ways around that, but seemed to have done really well with the virus fight too. So, yes, Mr. Wells.
On that same note, did you, as you survey people, I mean, just our surveying people as they would come and go, early on, if you were somewhat open during this COVID crisis, people seemed just happy that you were open. So satisfaction seemed relatively high. Tons of people would say, hey, I just appreciate you being here, being open, those kind of things. Did you see that in your surveys during those periods of time, those months? And if so, have you seen that wane a bit as now we're kind of climbing, a good ways through this crisis?
The satisfaction with vacations here has always been in the mid-90s, low to mid-90s. So that's not up that much. It's up slightly. There may be a little bit of a COVID bump there. It's hard to tell.
What about your other areas that you survey? Has it been similar?
Seeing the same thing.
Thank you.
Any further questions then? Thank you for the report. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. I have one last thing. At your table is a list of proposed dates for next next calendar year, for TDC meetings. We won't vote on this today. I want you to take it back, and if anybody has any conflicts or concerns, please let us know. Evaluate that before we get to the next meeting, but put it up against your calendar, and we'll vote next month. Just wanted to remind you that you had that.
Sounds good. All right. And so that concludes the report of the Executive Director?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Very good. Good report today. Thank you. Let's go to the report of the Sports Development Director, Mr. Milkey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Council. So today we're going to go through July, August, September, which largely is since we've been open, since the shutdown happened. So as we go through these 3 months, other than about 10 days at the end of June when we were open, this is the activity that's happened post-COVID. Well, not post-COVID since COVID's still going on, but post-opening back up again. In discussing these numbers too, it's really important for us to thank everyone in our community in the hospitality industry, those who are sitting around this table, opening up their hospitality accommodations and restaurants to make our guests feel safe. I think Jesse's still here. I can't see through the pillar, but incredible effort by Lee County leadership and Parks and Recreation to pivot a lot of employees and get facilities open in a very short amount of time so that we could get these events going again as soon as we could. We had great efforts from our housing partner in making sure that we were getting people into hotels and again making people feel safe. And our municipality partners really stepped up too, certainly, especially the city of Cape Coral with, they were mirroring our opening. So as we were trying to get our softball and baseball complexes back open, they were rushing and trying to work under the same protocols, and it was a cool community partnership to see unfold. So with that, we'll go into the June activity. Hotel room nights sold 26,000. All things considered, that's a really, really good number for us. We're usually in the mid 30,000s, and for this to be the first full month open after our COVID shutdown was really good to see. Total sports visitors, 27,000. So that's 27,000 people that were willing to travel into our community during that month. They yielded a direct visitor spending of $10 million. Perfect Game Baseball really was, as always in July, was the anchor. 12 events. They added a great event that we have scheduled again this coming year called the Freedom Classic, and it by itself generated 7,500 room nights. We also enjoyed some new events that were relocated to our community due to the fact that other destinations just weren't open yet. And there you can see, compared to other years, again, in all things considered, this is the first 30-day stretch that we were reopened. 26,000 room nights through sports isn't a bad number. And then we'll go to August very quickly. August is August, so we go from 28,000 room nights to 3,000 room nights. And if you go, I do want to mention the Florida Bowling Women's Championship. That was an event that was supposed to be here in the spring, and it was postponed and moved. And the numbers were probably half of what they normally were, but again, people felt comfortable traveling into our destination. They felt comfortable in our accommodations and in our bowling center. So, there's our August numbers. So, and again, to remind everyone, August just hits the wall because we've just concluded all of our summer championships, all travel ball, travel soccer, travel softball, everything is over in July. Fall sports haven't started, college sports haven't started, adult leagues haven't started. They're just getting off of their summer vacation period. So August is just a rough month for sports. September, this was a somewhat shocking month for us. You know, our normal hotel room night through sports in September is about 7,500. So to jump from that to 15,000, I actually had to go back and re-crunch all of our numbers to make sure that that was, you know, that was an accurate number. And, you know, 23,000 visitors coming in, what is traditionally a very down tourism month for us, direct visitor spending of $6 million. And a lot of it was because in July we saw, even though we were hosting events, we saw the numbers were down because there was hesitancy. There was still, you know, people were still nervous to travel. Even though they were traveling to get their kids playing sports again, not everybody was. There was still some fear. Fast forward into September and then October, when you see our October numbers next at our next meeting, a lot of that fear has dissipated, and so you've got this pent-up demand and very limited tournament selections out, especially in the state of Florida. So we're one of the only ones putting on these very large events, and our perfect game, a Labor Day event, normally is 75 to 85 teams, jumped to over 160 teams. So a lot of our events in September just got much bigger than we're expected to see due to the fact that there was limited supply of tournaments, and we saw a pent-up demand, and it illustrated here. So, I mean, that's a significant jump for us, and appreciate, Tam, your comment about, you know, sports had a little something to do with some of our increases in the month of September. So that's the 3-month report. I'm sure a lot of folks have heard the exciting news. This will be our 3rd year in hosting the Fort Myers Tip-Off. What was supposed to be a field of Wisconsin and Butler and Colorado and USF totally crumbled apart, as all of the tournaments did through all of this COVID. An unintended consequence of all the different protocols and you know, really a lot of teams were starting to gravitate towards Orlando and this bubble that they had created. Well, the bubble started to break apart because of some very strict COVID protocols that not all schools wanted to follow. And our partners at Intersport quickly were able to put together an event that I don't know that there's going to be a early season college tournament that's going to beat this one with name recognition. So Kansas and Gonzaga playing, you know, that's last year's #1 and #2 team in the nation. Gonzaga is preseason #1 right now. I think Kansas is number 8 the last time I saw. And the great thing for us as a destination is that even though it was supposed to be a Monday through Wednesday event prior to Thanksgiving, it's now been moved to a Thanksgiving Day and the day after event just because college basketball changed their start dates. And all of our games were going to be FS1 televised, but now on Thanksgiving Day at 1:30, Kansas is going to play Gonzaga on Fox National broadcast, and that will lead right into the Dallas Cowboy Fox football game that day. So huge exposure for us, huge national attention. And then later that day on Thanksgiving, we'll have Auburn playing versus St. Joseph's. And then following day, we're going to have Auburn and Gonzaga again on Fox National broadcast. So we'll have 2 Fox Nationals, 2 FS1s. Media value for this will certainly skyrocket from what we've seen in the past. So, yes, sir.
What's the seating looking like for that? Is it
So the seating has not been completely ironed out yet. What they're talking about doing is all of the retractable seats at FSW at Suncoast Arena will be pushed to the walls to maintain maximum distance from these teams. So only the upper permanent ring will exist. right now, the idea that has been floating around is that they are going to sell approximately 200 pairs of tickets. And so it's going to really not be open to the public as much as they're going to get these tickets in the hands of a lot of the alumni from those, and we'll have some tickets to sell here locally, but very, very limited spectators, pairs of seats, socially distanced apart. So you're probably looking at a max of about 400 fans in the arena. If that's any questions, that is our sports tourism report.
What other questions do we have for sports? I got to tell you, great job putting that together, and you know, you can still keep an event together over the Thanksgiving weekend or whatever holiday time, even in this kind of year that we've seen. Very good.
And just to add, I mean, the media value of having Gonzaga and Kansas playing in one of the first games of the year, I mean, you know, from a media value standpoint, we're really excited about the ability to run some commercials in that time slot and, you know, have that opportunity to speak to a national audience. So congratulations, Jeff. Really, I know no one will know all the work that went on behind the scenes to make that come to fruition, but congratulations on that.
Thank
from
you.
the Bureau.
And just to remind everyone, the media deliverables that we have with our contract with Intersport does call for two 30-second commercial spots for each one of those games. So we'll have 8 commercial spots that that I know Brian has been working on, and that will feature the beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel, our brand. And we'll have a lot of on-court presence, and everything again is to promote our national tourism brand. So appreciate that.
Very good. All right. So that concludes our report of the Sports Development Director. We took care of new business already. So at this point, we'll come down to floor council information. Does anybody have anything for council information? No? Okay. Very good. We'll move to. Oh yeah, Mr. Wachula.
Quick one. Sorry. The FRLA has a Love Local online auction, starts November 18th and closes December 3rd. The proceeds of that auction, and all the items are some great items are in that auction. The proceeds go to Southwest area high schools for their culinary and hospitality programs. So please bid and give to a great charity. And the FRLA is hosting their holiday party December 3rd at the Shangri-La.
Thanks for sharing that. Okay, so let's go through TDC member items. Mr. Lappy, any items today?
Just a couple. For those of you who know, for years we've put on the lighting ceremony at Twin Waters. We will do it this year, but it is going to be restricted to primarily our guests in the thing, or invited guests to help ring in the holidays. If anybody on the board here wants to come, just email me and we'll sure we can get you a pass. Or if you book for dinner reservations, either the Crow's Nest or the OCH will be allowed to come in. Also, on another note, I have the honor of going to visit Florida. They're doing inductees to the Hall of Fame. My good friend Ed Fouché, who was a VP at Disney, is considered, I guess, to go into that. So I served with him on the board, and just for his future, I remember he did 2 terms as chairman, which was unprecedented at the time. And his second chair year that he was doing, I was supposed to be the chair. He was the chair. He got to do the oil spill, and I didn't. So I feel very fortunate. So I'm going to go up to Tampa and celebrate him. That's going to be my kind of present for him. So that's good. That's it.
Good. Thank you. Mr. Wells, any member items?
Enjoy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hope it's a great holiday.
You too.
Positive in 2020.
Yes.
Amen. What about you, Mr. Wachulis?
Happy holidays, and the flyer for the auction I'll pass around. Thanks.
Very good. Very good. All right. How about Councilman McLean?
I can't believe the holidays are on us already, but happy holidays, everybody. Nothing else to report.
All right.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
All right. Ms. Cronin? Very good. I'll tell you what, I'll just wrap up with this. I don't know if I'll be at the next meeting. We'll see, right? To be the new chair and all that kind of stuff. So if I don't get a chance to talk to you guys, I want to say a few things. what a heck of a year it was to be a chairman of tourist development. I'm so proud of the team. I'm so proud of what we did as a community. I'm really proud to see, you know, this is a great opportunity to see the numbers and see how we performed, but I don't have to tell you all, you guys know this because you live it every day. You know, none of this was ever about some concept called the economy or making GDP numbers or RevPAR numbers look better. This was really about trying to help families, you know, I mean, all the people who work for you all, you know, not go hungry, not have to stand in a food line to get their food. You know, this was about people who work for a living and trying to make sure that they have an opportunity and a right and an ability to work and earn money. And this is just a horrible year, but it was the kind of year that you know, you need somebody to step up and be a leader and have to do this. And so we had to make tough decisions this year, and I feel like working with you all as a team, just the amazing things that you did to keep your people working, the amazing things that you did to provide a 96% safe experience to our visitors who came here, to provide an experience that visitors say they want to come back and enjoy again. It's remarkable for our community. So let me just share that and say thank you from the bottom of my heart, because y'all helped keep us going through this year that, you know, who knows, we're hoping there's an end in sight, and I know there will be. You know, we've all seen the good news about the vaccines and things like that, but thank you very much. And just know that the commissioners are here to support you as we get into next year. You know, I imagine there'll be a few more curveballs thrown our way throughout this, but, you know, we saw that common reserve that we have and the money that we have to work with. We're here to support y'all. So with that, I guess that'll conclude member items. Is there any other business or anything else for the good of the order? All right. Well, with that, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Have a good Thanksgiving. How'd your F&B holding up at,
Jeff, we're still working on our.
We were extremely fortunate.
I don't know if you see you again, but you know, we'll invite you back to say thank you.
Oh.
Hey, gentlemen, best of luck in the
Hey, thank
new
you
year.
very much. Same to you. Thanks for the report. So I just, you know, and you see, you like those places in town like I do that just have no shot. I mean, I feel so bad for them. They can't stay open.
right?
Your question, what's your advance?
It's hard to tell, but that's what we're a little worried about. Are people going to fly down for a 4 or 5 day vacation in quarantine to go back to New York, New Jersey? Because of
It depends what the quarantine thing. Yeah, New York is not so anyways, but it'll be interesting to see if Boston and those guys come down. And like I said, I think they got the money because nobody's gone out and spent any money. So they got money to spend. Hey, man, how we doing?
Thursday the 19th. Okay.
Looks like,
So we're going to be double duties on that.
around 1 to 2:30 now, I think they moved
That's right.
some just because they had more flexibility.
I'll be right back.
Like he does that too.
Yeah.
Hey, make fun of her all you want, but before you get to know it, you're going to end up not being able to see you. All right, so we got Samantha Brown Wednesday, and we got you guys coming out.
Yeah, I'd say mine is quick.
They said probably 1 to 2:30-ish. And so early afternoon on Wednesday on Thursday.
You'll take good care of her, Holly. You don't worry about it.
Brian is working with both crews. He's great.